All right, what's up, fam? We are going live. Xander jumping in right at the last second.
Yeah, that's right.
What's up, guys?
What's going on, dude?
How's everybody doing tonight? This
Good,
afternoon.
Pretty
good.
good.
Well, late evening or late afternoon for you guys.
Yeah.
Where are you at right now?
I'm out of North Carolina,
Oh, wow.
so you guys are all in Washington State.
Yeah.
Yep.
Nice. How far are y'all from Seattle?
I am a ferry ride away.
Okay,
I can see it from my living room. I'm on the waterfront, so
awesome. I've been to about every major city in the United States, but
Mhm.
Seattle and Portland, I'm yet to get there, and I want to get there.
I would say Seattle's great. Portland, you're not missing much. No offense
Really?
to Portland,
Okay.
but it's bad there. It's real bad.
Okay. Anyway,
Yeah.
why don't you guys I'm Billy Lewis with ScareNetwork TV. So why don't you guys just kind of introduce yourselves and hopefully what's the other guy's name?
Christopher?
Chris. Hopefully Chris can will join us and I'll pop him in. So yeah, you guys just kind of introduce yourselves, who you are, a little bit about your background. Don't have to get a long drawn out story, but yeah, just tell us kind of who you are and then we'll just kind of jump into the doc.
Go ahead,
Yeah,
Jonathan.
man. Alrighty. Well, my name is Jonathan Hershey. I've been, I can't say a paranormal, I'll say interested in the paranormal cryptids since I was a child. Started becoming a paranormal investigator when I was about 13, when I really started taking it more serious after I had some incidents happen where I was like, this is unmistakable. I can't ignore this anymore. But I've been dealing with it since I was a child, and I have been really deep diving into it since about 13 years old up into my adult life here, where I have dedicated privately and personally timeless hours of my life just to investigating the paranormal and scary things, cryptids, monster hunting, all of it. Yeah. Xander.
That's awesome.
My name's Xander Roy, and I have been into the paranormal probably 20 plus years, safe to say. Um, I had an incident when I was 14 years old when my grandma passed away,
Mhm.
and she just started showing up, and that was it.
In what form?
She started showing up in a apparition form, kind of a white silhouette.
And how'd you know it was your grandmother?
Because I was getting some pretty direct communication with her. I just kind of innately assumed it was her, so I just started calling her name out. It was like, Helen, Grandma, is this you?
Mhm.
And then I said, if this is you, can you do something for me? And I was up at my grandfather's trailer out in the woods, and I said, can you make a stick fall? And this big branch just fell right in front of me, and that
Wow.
was it. And then
Yeah.
for about 3 hours, I stayed up till 3 in the morning having a conversation with her. Needless to say, and it changed my world forever.
Yeah, that's cool. So, Jonathan, I think if you go on your page maybe and you go and unlock the live on your Facebook page, I think you can get maybe a few more people to kind of jump
It,
on and
it
kind of talk
looks
about stuff.
like,
You
so
may
it looks as
you may have
though
done it.
I
Did you do it?
making sure.
Okay, I think you are. Yeah. Never mind. I think you did do it.
Yeah, there we go. I got it. Just had to make sure. Be on
Yeah.
Facebook. Got to open up a new tab here. Unlock. Boom. There we go.
So it's crazy, man. Talking. So it's like you guys had incidences when you were a lot younger. Um, Me, it's crazy. I grew up like watching horror movies like
Mhm.
Friday the 13th and Nightmare on Elm Street, and I came from a very strict religious. My mom was super religious, but for some reason she would allow me to go and rent these movies like on Friday nights. If you remember the video store, you go and rent the
Yeah.
VHSs and stuff. That's
Oh
kind of
yeah, good old
that's
Oh
days.
yeah.
that's old school, but I never. My dad was a football coach growing up, and way after I was in graduated high school and stuff, and I making movies and stuff like that growing up had never even crossed my mind. I mean, I loved watching movies, and I love you talking about monster stuff. I love reading books on UFOs and watching stuff on Bigfoot and stuff like that. But I never imagined actually doing stuff. And then I myself, I've been a filmmaker for, gosh, like probably 24 years now. When I graduated high school, and we just lost Jonathan for a second time. He'll come back. But when I graduated high school, let's see if he's coming back. There he is. So when I graduated high school, you know, as anyone who graduates high school, you got to try to figure out what your purpose is and where you're supposed to be and stuff. And something was just calling me to just kind of do filmmaking and do, you know, video production, something I'd never done in my life before. Jonathan, your internet must be really stable. Did you forget to pay your bill this month?
You know what's crazy is I pay for the most like advanced internet that you can possibly get in my region, and today of all days, it's just not working.
It's crapping out on you.
Yeah.
So anyway, so I've always, long story short, I've always loved scary stuff, but never thought that it would be something that I would pursue. And the paranormal, to be honest with you, it's not something I ever even thought about. You know, I made horror movies, you know, narrative horror movies that I've written and directed. And then I just kind of fell into the paranormal it's coming up on 5 years ago. Watch that show, The Unexplained, with
Josh
William Shatner on the History Channel. Yeah. So, and they profiled a house on that, and I ended up, they called it the most evil house in America. And I ended up getting up with the owner and ended up going and filming there, and that kind of is what threw me into the paranormal. But I didn't even want to go there for the paranormal. I wanted to go there to write a horror movie, which I did. I never produced it, but I went there, and while we were there, some stuff happened, and I'm still kind of a skeptic. Even to this day, I've been to many locations, shot so much stuff, but I'm still very skeptical. And so that's why I was asking you about your grandmother and stuff. And
you know, it's kind of strange. I've been doing this so long, and I've seen things and I have undeniable evidence and proof of these things too. But every time I go into a new location or investigation, I'm skeptical. I'm like, this place isn't haunted. This isn't real. This isn't going on. And then I'm proven wrong every single time, just like what we did with the Hazzard Files. Like, I have been to Starvation Heights Cemetery probably 100, 200 times over my lifetime.
Wow.
And it's varied over the years. And then this last time that we went, this last few times that we were going through here, it was so active. And honestly, I think it was because it looked like it hadn't been touched in so long, because it's kind of a hot spot for people to come by. But I mean, I had probably taken a 3-year hiatus from it, and I went back there, and some of the stuff and some of the audio, there was actually one incident that's in our movie. There was a growl sound that is that happened audible with my ears. It came from the cemetery, like 5 feet behind me, shook it. I could feel it in my chest. And it's those situations where I run into that, where I'm like, holy cow, this really happened. And it's like, it reassures me that what I am doing, I'm not, because, you know, as a paranormal investigator and doing this kind of stuff, you feel kind of crazy sometimes, but every now and then something reminds you that what you're doing is real.
Yep. And I think too, a lot of the starvation stuff that happened, I think a lot of it too was a combination of the three of us and all of our energy together. We were all on the same page, and I think to me, that's a pretty profound energy when you have 2 or 3 people, you know, even 4, that are all operating on that same bandwagon, that same wavelength, that frequency, where you can kind of tap in. And I think that allows for a lot of communication. It was going off like crazy, literally. It was, we couldn't even keep up.
Yeah. So, so I watched pretty much all of it today. I had a lot of stuff going on, but I tried to watch as much as I possibly could. So I've written down a bunch of specific questions, but and we'll kind of get into it. You know, don't want to give away too much stuff because we want people, you know, we want viewers to actually go in and watch
Right.
the movie coming out this Friday. So, yeah, why don't you guys just kind of give a history of that location, which was the center point of the documentary, and not just of the location, but of the woman who it kind of revolves around, and the heinous things that she ended up, or that she did, you know, well over 100 years ago, you know, kind of a nutshell.
Go ahead, Jonathan. Hey, John, you with?
He might be frozen.
He looks frozen. Okay, so I'll nutshell the history. The cemetery was kind of created from a woman by the name of Linda Hazzard,
Mhm.
who she basically, to sum it up, she was a psycho. She was she was a fake doctor, pretty
Yeah.
much.
Yeah.
And she believed that she could cure people's diseases from starving them to death.
Yeah.
And you know, she just would get past that point where a psycho would operate, where no, we can cure you. Well, you're skin and bones, but we can still cure you. And
Yeah.
these people would die. And you know, there's stories of her just literally just these patients would die. And she, you know, her and her husband, one of the two of them would put them in a wheelbarrow and just kind of throw them in holes in the ground where the cemetery is, where there's, you know, in the movie we indicate many unmarked graves that are just a piece of iron coming out of the ground.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I remember that. Yeah, I was actually doing a little bit of research on her and read up some stuff on her, and yeah, she was pretty awful. I mean, there were a couple of sisters, I think, from England, who came over and really believed in what she was doing. One of them ended up dying, and then some of her family members got wind of what was happening. They saved the other sister before she was able to pass away.
yep.
And I think that sister ended up testifying against her in court and stuff.
Yep.
But and then I guess she got banished to New Zealand. It's a crazy
Yeah.
story, right?
Yeah, the judge basically gave her an option. Said, we can put you in jail, or you can go, which I think is a very rare thing to happen. You know, I mean, this is a while ago, but she basically got a choice of her fate and to go back to New Zealand. And ironically enough, too, she actually died of her own methodology.
I read
Like
that too,
Yeah,
which is
that's
crazy.
totally crazy.
So Chris, I guess, is trying to get in. Does he have the link? Does he have the StreamYard link?
Yeah,
What's
I'm getting
he
him in.
trying to
I'm
do?
getting him in right now.
Okay, yeah, I
I
haven't
just
seen
sent
it
it.
pop up.
I just sent him the email or the link in his email. So
Okay, so let me ask you this before we kind of jump into what you guys did. I mean, is this place where you guys live, is it really well known? Has there been other bigger stuff done on this specific location? Just kind of talk about the history from that perspective.
So there have been, from my knowledge, a couple people that have just like little bits here and there, but there's never been anything large scale. Like there's never been like a TAPS investigation or a Ghost Adventures or any of those other big guys. They've never touched this place.
That's
I think
surprising
that,
to me.
yeah. Well, I
that
think
story's
honestly,
crazy.
the reason why is because the building was removed so quickly. Like the actual sanatorium itself, that would have been an area that I would have expected to see a big organization like one of them step foot in. But it's crazy to think that people haven't really stepped on this cemetery for a big investigation. You know, like I said, I've been there a lot. It's one of those areas that it's like people are like, oh, you do ghost hunting? Where are you going to take me? Oh, let me run you over to starvation real quick. And as it's not too far away from here, and it's potent for energy.
What year was that building torn down? Do you know?
Oh gosh, I'll figure that out for you real quick.
Just out of curiosity.
Yeah,
I don't remember exactly the year
actually.
that was
So the last building, the actual like the crematorium, hold on, starvation high, 1935.
What's up, man?
Hey,
Hello.
hey, there he is.
Thanks for
Hi.
joining. Fashionably late.
Yeah, it's part of that
He's got
banking
a long
life,
commute
9 to
from
5
work.
job, and I try to rush out. We're a bit short staffed, so sorry everybody.
All good.
It's part of that balance of 9 to 5 work life, but you know, you do what you
You're
can.
not fired. You're not fired. You're still here.
Yeah,
I would
he
fire
made
me.
it.
I look at the mirror each morning and fire myself. So
So, anyways, going back to that about this woman's starvation. I've worked with a couple of filmmakers. They live in England. They live in London, believe it or not. And they've came over to the States, and I've shot a couple of things with them. And those guys called me last week out of the blue. I hadn't heard from them in years. And they said they're working on a new documentary, I think somewhere in Africa. I can't remember, Kenya or South Africa. Anyways, it's about this cult leader over there. They said he was almost as bad as Jim Jones, if y'all remember who Jim
Oh, wow,
Jones
yeah.
Oh,
was.
yeah.
It made everybody drink
Yeah.
the Kool-Aid, and he moved everybody over to Africa from San Francisco. But anyways, this guy, his method was starvation too. And they recovered 430 some bodies.
Was it New Zealand by chance?
It was not. Hold on, I think
Okay, because she went to New Zealand. She was basically sent there after she was sentenced, and she did the same thing there.
Yep.
It was Kenya, and this guy, they found 430 bodies,
Good
but
Lord.
it was a church. His name is it was called the Good News Church. His name is Paul McKenzie, and not a lot of people around the world have heard about it.
whoa.
If you just Google Paul McKenzie Good News Church, but it's crazy because I mean he literally had his parishioners or whatever starve themselves, and I don't know what the purpose was or what, but I think he was stealing from them too. But they were all kind of living in a little makeshift town, just kind of like Jim Jones was with the with what he was doing, but. Anyways, I thought those guys called me last week about we're working on this new documentary in Kenya because they're talking about coming back over the United States and for part of that story too and needing some help. And then, the Linda Hazzard thing and her getting her victims to starve themselves, which is bizarre.
It's I'm wondering if there's a correlation between the two, like the time period wise, if maybe there was like did he know of her works? Could they have possibly come across each other?
He's about to go on trial. Like this is recent. They just arrested him like a year ago. So they're still digging up bodies and stuff around his cult and stuff. So
it's got, I'm wondering if it had anything to do with that.
He's got ties to the United States. That's why these guys want to come to the United States. So possibly because he had a big building, kind of like y'all talking about the sanatorium like she had. So anyways, I'm very surprised that one of the bigger shows or something bigger has not been done on this location, because the story in and of itself is very fascinating to me, at least.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I think honestly the reason is because the building's not standing anymore, and the guy that owns the property is, from my experience and experience from other people, is not too willing to let people on his. I mean, everybody has their price, I'm sure, but not in a position that I can make that happen. But he's never been too willing to let people on to do something, because even then, like the lower grounds area where he keeps horses now, that's where the last building was standing not even too long ago that he took down to make room for his horses. So. And that's what, guys, 500 yards, if not if even that, maybe 200, 250 yards through the woods from the cemetery.
That's through what? Up hills and all that stuff. It's not like flat.
No. It's not an easy, but still that cemetery is right there. And maybe it's been overlooked as something of, small beans.
So do y'all have permission from that guy? Like you can go in there anytime you want to, or how does that work?
So the cemetery is not his property. It is public. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It is public property. So anybody can go there at any time, as obviously, as long as they're respectful, because there is an organization there that does kind of take care of the grounds. It's a preservation company that just kind of actually they do a lot of other cemeteries around this area just to keep them nice.
Yeah,
the ones that are forgotten.
Okay, well look, let's let me play the trailer that you guys have for the film, and then we'll just kind of dive into the film and then just kind of go from there. All right,
Cool.
let's play this real quick.
Do it.
It's gonna be a wild ride tonight.
What do you think? A few drinks. I'm not gonna lie. It's been a hard night.
Wow, you guys, it's really active there.
Freaking out, man.
Oh, bro, look at that freaking thing. It's like Christmas.
There's been stories of these round energy balls that fly around and have their own trajectory.
This is the king.
Are you fucking kidding me? The last time we were here. You guys remember the cane? Remember the cane they... Staff. Here, let's get in there and get a good look at that. What? Bro, you okay? You all right? Oh, shit. Okay, here, let's get this.
That stick was not there when we walked up.
Nope.
That stick was not there when we walked. What was that? Did you hear that? What in the name of fuck was that? That was like some demonic...
All right, there's your trailer.
Oh,
All right, so let's talk about the doc again. We don't want to give too much stuff away. So this we're going to premiere this Friday night, 7 Eastern time, 4 o'clock Pacific time on the ScareNetwork. So just kind of talk about how this came about. I know, Jonathan, you said you've been there many times. Is this something over the last several months you guys have been talking about, like actually trying to put something together and cohesively trying to do a documentary paranormal film, or just kind of talk about how it all came about?
Originally, we kind of just got together as kind of like a random group. Me and Christopher, we worked together with his podcast. So me and him became friends, and he actually lives very close to me. And then it was somebody else. Xander had made a post about kind of wanting to put a team together. So I jumped on that, got a hold of him, and we kind of went together, and I brought Christopher, and we were actually working on another project. And then I was like, hey guys, I haven't gone back to Starvation in a long time. We should go there. And then we went there, and it was like, no, it had been untouched for so long. The energy there was just so insane. You couldn't ignore it. You couldn't not. I mean, you saw that trailer, especially with that growl. That growl that you heard, that was audible, and it didn't come through any special equipment. That was 5 feet behind us. It shook the cemetery. Like, it was one of those things that after we did the initial investigation, because something that we do is, like, either me and Xander or Chris, or me and Chris go out and we kind of do an initial investigation to find out, like, is this place haunted? Is this worth bringing the ridiculous amount of equipment that we have to do something here? And we go first and we check it out. And we went there with very minimum equipment, and we came back afterwards like, okay, we can't ignore this. We got to go back. We got to bring everything, and we got to hit this hard.
Yeah.
And that growl, so I'll just jump in with that growl. That was a lot louder in person. I was really hoping we caught it, because we had our great mics, they're close up, but I mean, just to hear it that clearly, can tell you how loud it actually is in person. It freaked the heck out of me out, big time.
Yeah,
yeah. Nuts.
And you can see, Chris, you can see your reaction too.
Oh, I jumped, dude.
It was. I've
mean,
been doing this for so long, and I've seen what I perceived as full body apparitions. I've heard the doors moving. I've seen the things fall off the shit. But that particular moment was actually scary. In that moment, I thought that when I turned around, when I heard that growl, I was absolutely certain there was going to be someone or something standing right behind me, because it happened right behind us. And so it was insane. And that it happened in the area, and you'll see later on that where that staff comes into place, where we were standing was the same place that Kane.
That's all.
That it happened. Yeah.
So whose is that, or y'all don't know?
We don't
know. It appears. Well, I won't. I don't want to give too much away, but you'll see. It doesn't belong to any of us, but I couldn't leave it.
Let's just say we double checked a few things to make sure we didn't miss anything. We didn't miss a thing, and it's cool but not cool. Yeah. Because it's freaky, and I was like, I ain't touching that thing. I ain't taking it. But anyway, so
that sounds like something. That sounds like something like Ed and Lorraine Warren, who obviously are passed away now, but they used to collect haunted items, and they got stuff through the woods that people directed them to. And stuff.
I didn't never do that stuff until this moment, because I've stayed away from it too, because there's some bad juju can come back with things. Yeah. But in this moment, I realized that this was something that I couldn't ignore, and I couldn't let just slip through my hands to somebody else, some group of teenagers that was going to wander up there and grab that and break it. This was one of those things that it was such a pivotal point in my paranormal career that I couldn't leave this. I had to bring it.
I think too, John, you make a good point, because you're right. You're very cautious about that, but it's almost like, hey, I see a loaded gun that I'm not going to just leave around for some kid or some person to mess with that and do some really bad damage. And I totally second what you're saying on that. But that was pretty gnarly, especially for me. These guys are definitely heavy experts. I've been heavy in this stuff since I was a kid. That's why I started my podcast and everything. So it's really cool to work with these guys and experts and kind of have that that newbie first experience to kind of share my thoughts into. It's been really, really fascinating. So
I got a quick question. So who knocked over the headstone?
He's bottom left for me. So
hey, I'm cutting out. I'm sorry, bad connection.
And did y'all put it back?
So listen, that thing's probably 400 pounds. I have tried.
We tried.
I know we tried to, because me being the old school Catholic. No,
as soon as I was like, wait, was that like that? He's like, no, I felt like I was pushed in it and it fell over. I was like, I tried for a minute to get it. I could barely get that thing to budge.
We could not get it, and I was like, I am so screwed.
Eventually, I did contact the preservation company because I have their business card there, and I've been in contact with them because they're nice. They let me in on secrets around some other cemeteries that they're working on. Like there's 2 others in our area that they just are recently restoring, and me and Christopher actually visited one of them, and we have intelligent communication from a cemetery that's never been touched with a man who was considered one of the first settlers for this area of Washington, who is potentially, they don't know where he's buried, but that's the cool part about what we did is we were getting intelligent communication that was guiding us to a spot. And then so when I messaged them, they're like, oh, we have something to pick that up. It'll probably be back there. So unfortunately, it either is or will be taken care of.
Yeah, probably AI will pick it up.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the dock a little bit. It seemed so I know you guys went there multiple times, because it seemed like when you first went there it was raining, then a couple times you went there it wasn't raining.
Yeah.
Couple times Xander had purple hair, a couple times he had blue hair,
He's got red hair now.
I got red
We
hair.
were doing a
So,
quick.
I mean, what's going on with this doc? I mean, it's like all over the place.
So
Pulp Fiction, you know, jumper.
It really was all over the place. But the thing about it is we didn't have the intention of turning this into a documentary or a movie at first. Like we were going there to get evidence because we were actually working on another project that just ended up just not going through. It just honestly it's just dead air. We got some stuff, but then while Xander was working on that other project, me and Chris we were hitting starvation, and then I was like, Xander, it's insane. The energy here is unlike I've been to an area called Thousand Step Cemetery that's in Spokane, Washington. That was probably the most haunted place that I've ever set foot in my life. And I've been to some very haunted places, not even just here in Washington, but all around the U.S. Yeah. And starvation's energy was about 10 times that this time, which I'd never seen it like that. And so I was like, we have to, so honestly, it was one of those things where we tried to piece together what usable footage that we had to make something out of it. Cause we're like, dude, we got to get this out there to see for the world to see. Like, this is insane. We can't just not show people this and just let it sit in a hard drive somewhere.
How far is, I was going to say, how far of a walk is it back to the cemetery and stuff?
So once you park, which is great off the side of the road, it's like what would you say, about a 5-minute walk uphill?
Oh, okay.
I would say that, but definitely pretty isolated though too. It's definitely very.
Now there are, I mean, Olalla it's a beautiful place, but everybody kind of sticks to themselves out there. So where we park, you're parked off the side of the road. There's somebody else that lives there. Cutting out again. You guys still hear me?
Sort of.
Yeah, kind of.
Okay. I'm sorry. It's got to be
the government. No.
He must still be on dial-up internet.
It's my kids. Honestly, they probably got like 500 things going on upstairs.
I was gonna say
they're streaming in 4K on 6 different TVs.
I have 9 kids. So
he's not kidding. He's not kidding.
You really have 9 kids?
He's not kidding.
Oh, I got 3 girls, and I thought I had my hands full.
There you go.
He's probably gonna make some people mad. He's making the Mormons jealous, man. He's like, dang.
But
are you Mormon?
If you guys
no.
It looks like Chris dis.
And
he's gone. He's gone.
They canceled the wrong person. He didn't say that. I did.
The 9 kids.
No.
The Jonathan
they shut him down.
No, he definitely has quite a bit of kids, and they're definitely a handful, but they're beautiful. They're beautiful.
Nice.
But
anyway, so Xander, you started talking about the movie and it kind of rainy. Well, being all over the place and raining. So why don't you just kind of jump in from your perspective?
So I want to kind of rewind a little bit and just recap. Jonathan mentioned that because there is, there's parts where it's raining. There's parts where, there's probably 4 or 5 segments of us being there. And it originally was going to be just an episode of other
like
cemeteries.
a little blurb of anything.
Right. And then that's when things just kind of like it just consumed and it piled up, and it was just, we were just drawn there, and we had to go there, and then we had to continue to go there just to keep getting the answers that we were seeking, which we didn't get all of them, which, inevitably there's going to maybe be a part 2. But it was just
a little bit more organized part 2, because we actually because again, we were trying to do this while doing another project, while doing like 5 other things that we were trying to do. It's like, oh, we could make this work. And then it was just so much. It's like, we got to make this work.
Yeah.
What about the rain? So I guess when you guys first went out there, it was raining. Do you felt like that kind of, obviously that's a pain in the butt, first off.
On the gear alone.
On the gear, on getting any type of, legible, intelligent responses.
That was a tough day. That was a tough day. Xander lives a lot further than we do from there. Like it's like a 35-minute drive for me and Chris. It's a couple hours for Xander to come over, but we came over. We were expected to just miss the rain. And it actually happened we went and did this investigation during the biggest lightning storm of the century for our region.
Yeah,
And
literally.
we were like, it's kind of raining. And then we get there and it was a torrential downpour. And we're like, okay, well, it's kind of covered by trees. Let's see if that canopy kind of lets it light up. And while we were there, we were doing the small things that we were able to do, like a voice box here or a, you know, EVP session here. And it was just one after the other, just boom, boom. We had to stay. So we did it.
Yeah.
And it was a full moon in a way too.
Yeah, it was a full moon, lightning storm, everything happening at once. We did it.
Well, I won't forget too, because Xander, you poor thing, man. I won't forget that because the gear and everything. And I think there was almost a choice, right? We were like 10, 15 minutes into it, like maybe this is just a bad idea. And we almost packed it up, but then things like you said, John, it was popping.
We didn't have time to pack up.
It was
I would go and walk to get my backpack to start loading things in, and all of a sudden the REM pods are going off, or it was just
all different directions. It was insane.
It was insane.
And at that time we were like, okay, my GoPro's waterproof. He's like, my phone's waterproof. So we did what we could, and we used what we could to try to get evidence, because I mean, it's one of those things where you can only use so much that you're willing to risk to destroy for something that you don't have any expectations of getting any money back from it. It's just one of those things where we're like, we do this to get the evidence and the truth out there, and that's why we do it. And if I end up burning, $500 piece of equipment, then so be it. I'll buy another one. My wife will shoot me, but I'll get it.
Yeah.
Okay, so you have to keep the house, buddy.
Yeah.
Nah, you guys got some good responses. Did y'all do any EVPs that made the documentary? Again, there's only about 20 minutes that I wasn't able to watch.
It was box sessions. Go ahead, Xander.
Oh, like when I was doing some editing too with the film, I have a whole catalog of literally like video streams of EVPs that were coming at us left and right, and I was just trying. Well, okay, and these were like Class A EVPs coming through like clear as day.
Yeah,
and you have to make a choice and go, okay, so what are we going to put in here, and maybe what can we save, and so it kind of ended up that way.
So to me, I'm not a paranormal investigator. I'm a filmmaker first and foremost, but I've been around so many paranormal investigators. I've been to so many locations at this point that by default, I've learned a lot about it. I've learned a lot about the gear. I've learned a lot about what's real, what's not real, in my opinion. So I try to. I don't like using the word debunk. Because
it's
when
a
we
good
go
term
to
use, though. Yeah,
it is a good term to use, but my philosophy is when I go to locations and stuff, if we get a response, I mean, it's scanning through radio channels. A lot of people just completely, are like, oh, that's whatever. But if you get a direct answer to a direct question, I mean, there's a little bit of validity to that. But for me, what holds the most value, in my opinion, is an EVP. Like, let's say if you're out in that cemetery, and I think the rain would have really distorted it. But if it's out there and there's no dogs barking in the background, no traffic going by, no airplanes going overhead, but it's dead silent, and you just got that recorder and you're asking a question, nobody says anything, and then you play it back and you actually hear a voice, to me, that's the most compelling evidence from a paranormal standpoint. Again, that's just me. I feel like it's like, how do you explain that? Where did that voice come from when nobody said anything?
Yeah.
So
and I'll 100% agree with you there. And EVP, especially when you have no background noise, no white noise, like even during the rain, it tricks your ears. I don't try to do EVP stuff if there's like drone. Even when I was at 1,000 Step, it was hard to do because there's an airport not far away. So every few minutes you just have a drone or a plane. And so it could be a trick of the ear. But like you said, in those moments where it's dead silent, there's nothing going on, and you have an EVP session and a voice comes, you can't explain that other than paranormal. And I mean, Xander went through a lot more of the footage than I did, and I think we got maybe a couple that were through there, but again, they're short. But we had a lot of box session stuff.
What was the little box where the different words were coming up? What
That's
kind of
that's like a mini Ovilus.
Okay. Yep, that's what I thought it was.
Yeah.
And I'll say this, especially with that, not to give it away, there are some intelligent responses with that, with things that you will see.
There were
the cane was the one, and that was days, that was weeks and weeks after, like 2-3 weeks after.
I mean, how
down the cane to that, yeah.
That's not coincidental,
right?
I mean, to me, I mean, could it be? I mean, you could sit and debunk it all day long, but I mean, when it just goes off and it just says the cane, it's
And you know what? Too. With doing this again, I've been interested since I was a kid with all this stuff. This is my passion to do something and doing this journey. So I'm doing this as the newbie with the guys. Yeah. And one thing I can say is that as much as we can film everything, the experience is different than what you see. You try to capture as much as possible, try to keep it as real as possible. I can see people say, well, they could have placed that cane there and fake that bloody box, and that's okay. Totally get it. And honestly, I welcome that. I welcome that conversation, right? It starts a conversation.
Well, people are going to say that again. So my philosophy with that is I go with these investigators, and I cut a lot of stuff out that I feel like is not paranormal, or if I'm with an investigator and they're like, oh, did you hear this on MVP? And I'm sitting there listening to it 20 times when I'm editing, and I just don't hear it. So I don't even put it in there,
right?
Even if they feel like they do. But anyways, my philosophy is with the evidence and stuff that you gather, you're not going to make everybody happy. So you gather, if you're an honest person and you're, like you say, you're not faking stuff and you're actually putting what you capture in that moment into that. It doesn't matter what anybody says. They can say whatever they want to say. I don't care what they say. I just put the evidence out there the way that we captured it. And if they say it's fake, so be it. But it is what it is. That's what we captured. I know who I am as a filmmaker. So but that's my next question is, like, along those same lines, have you guys developed philosophies as kind of paranormal investigators in that regard?
So one thing that we established, and we established this from the beginning, once we realized that we worked well as a team, once we realized that we had chemistry, that we weren't just a group and a team together, that we were friends, we all had the same value of, we want to keep this as raw and undertoned as possible with it. Like, we have another project that we've almost completed. We're actually filming part 2 of it this Friday, and it is literally from start to finish paranormal investigating. And that's what it is. I took the stuff, and like you said, I removed the stuff where it's like, I don't know. And just put the raw, this is what we heard. We threw it up there for you guys. This is what we think we heard. It's up to you to decide. And that's what we want to do, is we want to give our viewers the ability or the privilege to decide what they're hearing too. We want them to feel engaged and like they're there and a part of the investigation, not just watching it. But like, one of the things that I loved when I was younger, especially watching paranormal investigation shows, was that when your TV's at max volume, you're right in front of it, rewinding. You're like, did it say that? Did it hear that? Instead of it leading you to thinking you heard that. And so that is one thing that as a group we put our foot down with, and it's not even that, we all share the same value. We're like, we want to keep this raw. Like, what you see is what you get, and there's no fancy, there's no special, there's no this. I mean, there's a little bit of enhancement here and there so you can hear it, because some things are quiet. But other than that, it's raw. It looks like, a lot of the filming is done with a handheld GoPro or a phone, because we were in situations where, like a downpour, I have a really nice night vision camera that I was only able to use one night because the weather where we're at, I mean, it's Washington, so 200% rain.
Rains a lot.
So, but and when it comes down to answering your question, it is, we just keep things raw and real. And
what
down to the
what validates stuff for me too is when you go to a location and not every location you go to, you're going to be able to get the real history of what happened there. But when you are able to get that history and then you validate the evidence correlating with the things that actually happened at that specific location, then that to me validates it more, and it brings things full circle and makes it just a better story and a better investigation too,
Yep.
And that's what we're going to be working on with part 2, is because we're going to try to plan it for next year. We got some other plans in motion for things that we're going to carry over until then, but we really feel that we need to go back and do starvation justice again, where we can all be there, have all of the equipment, and the weather just hold the heck up. Because I mean, as much as I love going out during crazy storms and things like that, I was wearing some pretty expensive rain gear and I was still soaked all the way through to the bone. So that was not fun. And I definitely lost some equipment that soaked through my waterproof bag. That's how bad it is. You can't escape the rain in Washington.
No, you cannot.
No.
No. I was going to ask that too, John, with like making it raw and bringing it real to people too. And I like really what you like about like trying to search for the history and evidence to kind of have more of that storytelling. Also, one of the things I was telling John and Xander, what I love about some of the stuff, because the other place that we're doing doesn't really have any history, just rumors.
Yep.
We're still uncovering history on it from somebody who was old enough to actually remember that area. And they're like, hey, I back in my day, it's like, you know about this place? Like, I used to caretake the property. Holy crap.
And
so,
people don't, and in this place, people are a lot more, it's more like Jimmy Hoffa. People don't talk about it.
Yeah.
And, but in addition to that,
history.
So when I was talking to Xander and John, what I love about it, like I played the band before, and it's like I don't want people just watching the show and be part of the show. And it's like I like how people can just like, wow, I have more questions. We're looking, people want to throw in and like, hey, we want to help search this information too. I love that. There's a participation piece to it. So it's not just like, oh, here's the shocking, crazy things. Like, here's the things that happened. Here's the history. This is what we're still trying to discover. I like kind of that like detective work, but in that paranormal sense where people can help get into that. Maybe they have.
I think we want people to want us to go back.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, there could be resources that people have out there that maybe they have more of expertise. Like, hey, I got things I want to look. This is interesting. I want to look into it. Maybe I can look, read, and do something about this. Make it very collaborative with the people out there to create that interest. Yeah. So, I mean, that's kind of the other thought of it too. Is people again being part of the experience, not just watching it.
Yeah,
as much as possible,
and making sure that our equipment is. Like, I mean, we do have some fancy things. I have some things that, I mean, I have like SLS equipment. I don't have any like, fancy, like some other paranormal investigator stuff, because I'm not able to spend $5,000, $6,000, $10,000. And if I did, this interview would be held from the front yard, where my internet might be slightly worse. But our stuff is 90% of it analog. Of course, there's some things that are in there that are digital because they have to have a screen and things like that. We make sure that we source where we're getting them from really well to find out that even some of the stuff that we are people that have been established making paranormal equipment for, over a decade. There's a couple of devices. And so we make sure that we're vetting all of our equipment. Everyone understands what it is. We test it. We try it. I even do it on camera sometimes. Like there's one part where I'm having something that's kind of, I think it was my voice box was acting up, and I was like looking like I was doing the Macarena, like trying to make sure it wasn't anything on my body that was causing interference. So we try to keep everything as real as we possibly can and make sure that the audience knows that it's not being faked.
Right.
I think that's important as far as the equipment is concerned. But, at the end of the day, man, it's like, dude, how can you really prove if spirits are out there? You can't, man. It's all, and who knows if the communication is real? I mean, I guess we'll never know that until we actually pass away and stuff. So it's all kind of up to the person's judgment as to whether they want to believe, which is the fascinating thing about the paranormal too at the same time. So I got another question. So there's this one part where I think there were a bunch of, I don't like to call them orbs or really even spirit energy. I don't know what you call them. What do you think they are? I don't know. And I've captured many. And
Yeah.
I put them in my docs too. I do. I put them in the things, and a lot of times I'll even have an error kind of follow the path, and I leave them up for people's judgment. I just like to ask people what their thoughts or theories are on, and then how much credit and stock do they actually put into the spirit energy orbs, whatever you want to call them.
Yeah. Go ahead, Xander.
I mean, I've always believed that an orb is what an orb is, which is it's some sort of energy that's either being manifested or it's just passing through. I mean, I've done a lot of research on them, and I used to take screenshots of them and keep blowing them up and blowing them up, and I would start to see things in the orbs. Like I have pictures on my drive of orbs that I've blown up and that I've actually done research for other people, and you can see a man's face, you can see the wrinkles on his nose. I mean, it's
that's interesting.
And you're sitting there looking, going, well, undeniably, there's his eyes, there's his wrinkle on his nose, and it's just kind of blended into this like ball of energy. So but everybody's going to have their own take and their own imaginative, creative thought on it.
Yeah.
But that's just what I think.
It's a good description for orbs, and orbs are one of the things that, like, even with this new documentary, because I've been kind of heading the video editing on this new one, and orbs are the things that I spend the most time on. They are the things that I'm enhancing the most, trying to figure out if it's a freaking bug, if it's something reflecting an IR, after seeing, and just like you were saying, countless hundreds of them throughout the years, and just as an investigator and as like a film producer like yourself, you're able to tell the difference. Like, that's a bug. I can see that's a bug. 100%. I can tell that's a bug. But then you get these orbs that manifest where you're like, what the heck is that? Where did that come from? Why am I looking at the screen and all of a sudden it's and then gone?
I think their path to what they take.
It's smooth, and it's always like like it's a calculated motion, and weirdly enough, a lot of times the orbs that I have caught have happened and triggered paranormal events. Like on our other project that we have, there's actually one of the things that I just sent it to the guys a couple of weeks ago was cool. You see an orb appear behind Chris out of nowhere, comes out, flies down into one of the cat balls that we have on the ground, and then the cat ball goes off.
Yeah. So
that blew my mind.
So I've got a similar story, and I've got many because I've done so many at this point.
Yeah.
But we were at this abandoned castle in upstate New York. And actually, I took my wife with me the first time she had ever been on any type of paranormal investigation, and she kind of helped me shoot. She took part in the investigations. And this one investigator, he was standing by this fireplace, and I didn't even see it in real time when it happened. I only saw it on playback. But you see this orb, it literally left his head, and it slowly left his head, and then it went off screen. And no lie, within 5 seconds of that happened, he was talking about how he had a headache. And that's really unexplainable. And none of us saw the orb in real time or on the cameras. So it was only during playback, which I felt like added or gave more, I keep using the word validation, but in paranormal, I think you have to use that word a lot, but that gave it more validation and stuff.
Yeah. And I think people are, I'm not afraid to use that word because I think that word, validity, validation, I think it applies. I mean, how do you explain, I call them intelligent responses. I mean, like, how do you explain that? How do you explain that he had an orb coming out of his head and then he gets a headache? I mean, what is it coincidence?
How do you explain watching an orb fly over and then and run into, I think it was, oh gosh, I can't remember which one of those toes, one of those Ghost Adventures of Taps or things like that. Then one of the things that they caught was an orb that went over, and then right where it landed, it was like a broomstick or a mop handle or something fell over, right? And that orb went right into it. And it's those things right there that kind of, I can't, maybe it might have been one of those two, don't quote me on it, but I've seen those things before. And we actually had somebody that asked if we've ever seen him in the daytime. I've seen him manifest in the daytime on camera. You see them more on camera, and I think that that's just because our eyes can only perceive so much, our brains can only process so much, but a camera works at different frequencies and wavelengths that we don't have, and they're able to see. And I think especially in IR, and that's the hardest part about debunking them, is you have to try to figure out, is this something that is just reflecting off the IR? But when you have those moments where that camera has been looking in that same spot for 25 minutes and all of a sudden it's
so in that case it's unexplainable. But then let's say you go to a haunted location or an abandoned building or whatever that's super dusty, and then you just got stuff flying all over the place, then automatically you have to say, hey, you know, this is just dust and the IR is really picking up this stuff. And so you have to be practical about that type of evidence and stuff too. But that's why I just love getting varying opinions on what people think about it, and actually how much stock they put into them during a paranormal investigation and stuff. So
I don't put it all into my basket with those, but I definitely spend a lot of time trying to make sure that if it is something that I'm going to show to the world, that I have made sure that it is not a dust particle, not a bug, and not like some form of light refraction that's coming from someone's flashlight somewhere that's reflecting off of one of the 500 windows in the building or whatever. And you know, I do my best to figure that out. And then once I've determined that this is something that I can't explain, there you go. I put it on there and was like, look at this orb, guys.
Well, and you know, just to kind of put a cap on this whole orb thing too. It's like in the movie that we have coming out, when we did these personal interviews over at Christopher's house,
this was weird.
That's why I put it in the movie, because you can see clearly. I slowed it down. Jonathan is surrounded by orbs.
And a lot of people will argue the fact, they're like, well, is like Chris's house is haunted, or what are you saying, that they're following you? The land that he is on and his area that he is known for excessive paranormal activity.
And you know,
like
actually,
the whole area.
Actually, John and Xander, just to share with you, and I'm still waiting if Jen's going to send to me not. She said she's a little freaked out because she recorded a bunch of orbs to her cameras they have outside.
Yeah. And I mean, if you have those, obviously send them to us too, so we can make sure that we look at them and make sure it's not, you know, the world's largest mosquito.
Yeah, I know. And she's a bit freaked out.
Can I play devil's advocate? What if Chris hadn't had his house cleaned in 3 months and he just got all this crap flying around now?
Oh, that's true too.
Well, so it is a very strong possibility, but there is a woman touch in that house, so it's taken care of.
They're fart particles, man.
That would be my house too.
I got, like I said before, I got 75,000 kids that are running through here too. So the fact that my house is even clean for, I'd like to say a few hours, but that lie is not easy.
I don't know.
I'm actually impressed how clean it gets.
I have an extremely efficient wife. That is how. Like I can hear her right now. It is 6:58. I have a quarter of the kids.
Already putting the kids to bed.
She's vacuuming right now. I hear it in the room next door. Like,
so
she's filming things for her TikTok and vacuuming at the same time. So
that's funny. So I mean, the doc in and of itself is very raw, very real. You know, I know you guys are working on a new project, potentially doing part 2 of the Hazzard Files. How do you guys feel with the overall end product of this first Hazzard Files, paranormal doc? Just kind of each one of you kind of talk about it and how you feel about everything.
Chris, you want to go first?
Sure. I would say this: it's a very strong start, and the reason I say that is because going back what Jonathan was saying and what Xander was doing, how it all started was doing one location and then coming up with Starvation Heights, and okay, we'll make an episode of it, and how it just became its own thing, where it's like we switched gears on the whim, right? And it's raw. It may seem a little bit chaotic, but that's what we were going through at that time, because we weren't expecting to do that, right?
Yeah. We were not expecting to switch gears at all.
That was not planned to do. And for the time that we had and doing things that we were doing, And we all had some really good discussions and what we should do, because there's a lot of stuff out there and that on the footage. But the reason I say it's a strong start, because we pretty much were riding, we thought was a horse and it was a bull. We were able to still hang on, you know? So I would say it's a very strong start, and it's also a great way to launch us into other investigations that I think are going to be even greater and better and a lot more awesome. And so I'm very proud to work with these guys and love them very much.
I'm very, very proud of this movie.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, I think if a movie has chaos,
Mm-hmm.
it enables people to kind of make up their own mind of what's going on too, you know? So it's like, I call it good chaos. And it's layered with that for sure. And it's very found footagey. And at the same token, we're trying to tell a story. We're trying to put things together. But I'm very proud of how it turned out. I think it turned out great for what we were not trying to achieve and what we did try to achieve.
And you know what? Can I add one thing to that, Xander?
Yeah.
Very humanizing. It really humanizes the whole thing. It's not trying to direct somebody to what we want you to see.
Right.
We're showing you what we experienced.
Very spontaneous.
Does that? I hope that kind of adds to that. That's why I want to add to that last part too. Sorry to interrupt, but yeah.
No, you're good, dude.
For me, I express a lot of the same. Am I cut out?
No, you're good. Go on.
Okay. It did that thing right before it was going to kick me off again. One of my kids logged back on. So for me, I look at this project and I look at this project as it is complete chaos, but I'm proud.
And he's gone.
And he's gone.
You know what? He makes a great exit. Compared
He talk about chaos and he leaves.
That's John, by the way. He just talks and it disappears. You know.
Yep. Yeah.
Wait, John, are you a ghost?
Are
you a ghost? Or are you
actually, Billy? He's an AI.
It's the staff.
Hold on. The government kidnapped John.
Put that thing down, dude.
They put the AI version of John in here.
Hold on. Maybe it'll help. Let me hold it closer to my router way over there. Then maybe it'll.
Please don't come over my house with that thing.
I'm gonna hit you with it, Chris. The ghost wanted it. Remember. So for me, I'm very proud of the project. I'm really excited for it. It is absolute utter chaos, and that is because, like my colleague said, we had no intentions of turning this into anything other than, because our main focus was we're gonna do this. Let me tell you a little bit here and just like kind of little mini, and then all of a sudden we had so much that happened at starvation where it's like, okay, this needs to be our focus because everything else was taking over time. And it's like, okay, we're going to do this. We need to try to put something together. And then Xander's like, let's submit this to some networks. Like, let's submit this to some people and see if this is interesting. And then he showed us some drafts and whatnot. And we're like, let's fucking do this. Like, this is great. And so I can say that from that, we were able to figure out how we work the best as a team because we're friends first and a team second. And we figured out what parts we can focus on, who's better at what and what equipment. And we came up with this during this period of working on the Hazzard Files. We were able to come up with this formula of how we are going to investigate things further, like our process of how we were going to do this. And honestly, like we're jumping from the Hazzard Files to our second project that's going to be coming out here that we're filming part 2 of it too. It's going to be called the Blue Mountain Project. And that's going to be our next. And then after that, we're coming back in and our part 2 for the Hazzard Files is going to be a much more put together, formed investigation where we can really show everyone everything from start to finish. Cause that is our goal, is to get from start to finish with this and not just have to use what we could. Because like you said, like you mentioned before, sometimes it was raining, sometimes it was not, sometimes it was just me and Chris, sometimes Xander was there, sometimes, you know, Chris was being attacked by a tombstone. So all of the things that happened all at once, it was chaos.
Wait, did he fight the tombstone?
I think so. So, you know, the crazy part about it is me and Xander were behind him because he went up ahead. And all we heard was Chris screaming like a girl, and he was saying, "Don't touch me there." And I was kidding. No, but no,
listen, that was not the documentary, man. All right,
that was a different film you guys did.
Oh yeah, that's the wrong film. That was the barn. That wasn't the
blurred my face in that one moment. All right.
But
well, if y'all want to take the Hazzard Files 2 to another level, y'all have to.
John,
y'all have to bring me out there.
Yeah,
and we'll take it to a whole other level.
We will definitely have to do that.
Absolutely, freaking absolutely, yeah.
But anyways, no, going back to what you guys said, I think it was you, Chris, that said about doing it and just continuing to get better. The first paranormal doc that I did, and you can see it on the Scare Network, it's called Maleficus, and it's phenomenal. Probably if you go and read the IMDb Internet Movie Database reviews, I mean, just tons and tons, 10 of 10 reviews, calling it one of the best paranormal documentaries people have ever seen. But the reason that I talk about it is because I went and I shot it, and I got a bunch of interviews, got a bunch of evidence, got a bunch of B-roll, this, that, yada, yada, kind of push it. I didn't know what I had when I left. I thought I was kind of disappointed. I'm like, man, did I just waste the last 3 or 4 days shooting this? Like what? And then, had never done a paranormal documentary, put it together, and it turned into an hour and a half worth of really, really, really good thing. And then, done many since then. So the more, obviously, with anything in life, the more you do something, hopefully you learn and you grow and you do better. So I just encourage you just to keep working hard and keep, your production will get better, your editing will get better, your investigations will get better, everything will continue to get better if you're passionate about it, persistent, and you have a love for it, so I think you guys
are all passionate the same way too.
Yeah, you guys.
It's funny you say that because we have talked about those things too, where we may go to a location, we're like, I kind of felt dead, and it kind of felt like this, and and I'll be like, no, there was a lot of stuff going on. And then when you it's almost like Xander and I, we talk about music, right? It's like you're recording something. It's okay, it's good enough till you come back the next day, have some fresh ears, and like, okay, I have a better idea, right? And so, like we were saying, sometimes you may, because you're putting so much energy into something, that you're going to feel like, did I do a good enough job, or so forth and all this stuff. It's like until you watch back and look at it, and they're like, boy, I missed a lot of things that I do have that's good stuff. And it is definitely learning curve. And you know what? That's the beauty about learning. You're never going to stop learning. You're always going to be better. And it depends on the location too, because each location is going to have its own thing. It's not this. It's not like record. Some things can be recorded from start to finish. Sometimes I'll have a bunch of interviews. Sometimes it doesn't. It's just trying to capture the best essence at that moment of what's going to do the investigation justice.
Yeah.
Yep.
So you guys, with all that being said, you guys should be very proud that you actually, were able to put this together and got a finished product, and hopefully some people kind of job with it and be interested in it, and I mean, kudos, because it's not an easy thing to go out and film something like that and kind of piece it together and kind of try to make it make sense the best you can, and have a beginning, middle, and end, even though it's not a narrative film, it's a documentary. You don't necessarily have to have all those, but I mean, good job.
Thank you, man.
Thank you.
We
that
really
means a lot,
appreciate
actually.
this, man.
This was a big deal for us, especially because we were all nervous with this. Like, we've been back and forth with all three of us trying to figure out what to do with it, and then finally we get to this point where, like, all right, let's get this out there, and it's got some legs now, and then we're just hoping that it's going to lead into some more. We're not hoping for anything big, but we just want to be able to keep doing this, actually get some people to keep, like, watch what we're doing, because even from the Hazzard Files, like, this is what brought us together and made us stronger as a team, and it has developed into our second project that we're doing, which is massive. Like, it's undeniably big, some of the evidence that we've got, so much so that we're going this Friday, we're going to go film a part 2, like, and I'm talking an hour and 45 minutes of usable footage that we've pieced together so far, and God only knows what we're going to get this Friday. And from that point on, it's led to another part in that exact same area just a couple miles down the road that is also horrifically haunted. It's like everything has just kind of come together just to kind of lead us into continuing this. And we're just really happy that we were able to get this out there, start this, and be able to continue as a team to do what we love. Because I love this. I know Xander does. Chris loves this. I mean, this is the stuff that I have been doing and wanted to do my whole life in some form of way, just to show people. And, you know, you can only show so much on YouTube and TikTok and things like that too with people. But, you know, getting out there on some networks, getting out there on, you know, if we can get things on like Amazon, Hulu, ScareNetwork and things, that gives that little bit more evidence to show people, like, we are showing you in the most rawest ways of, dude, I caught this on my GoPro, and I don't know how to explain this, but I want you guys to see this. Like that.
Be your own judge. Be your own judge.
Yeah. And that's what the one thing that we say about is, like, I can never convince you of my truth. I can only show you what I've seen, and you guys got to take it from that point on.
Yep. And we're getting, you know, we've done it. We did a kind of a soft launch too with, you know, through Facebook and through some people we know, and we're getting very honest, good reviews so far that are really like I didn't anticipate that. Some of the things that people are saying are like, you know, wow, you guys had these moments where you're just, it's very humane. You guys have your camera. It's, you know, it's not planned, but then again, in the moment you plan it because you have to. And it's like, but you guys are very found footagey. It's just you guys doing what you're doing. So it's,
And I mean, it's so raw that poor Xander had to probably like skiff through like 30 minutes of cock shots going on there because we forget we have our cameras on hanging in our hands and things like that. So the poor guy, he was swimming through those footage. Is like, all I'm staring at is your leg for 30 minutes. Did you know that? Oh, I'm sorry about that. My bad.
Yeah. I can contest to that.
I've edited a many paranormal docs now.
Probably have.
And it's no easy task, man, because again, unlike a narrative movie, you don't have a script. So just the fact that you gotta try to piece everything together in a cohesive story that it's going to be interesting to the viewer. You have to be really conscious of that, and really, you know, that has to be on your mind as you're editing and putting that together.
Exactly. Yep.
It's a tough thing to do. It's not easy, and it's not for the, you know, it's not for somebody who has ADD to sit there in front of a computer and edit, and you have to be you have to be really focused and really awake.
Yep.
But yeah, man, glad you guys reached out to me and the Scare Network, and we're going to premiere this Friday night at 7 p.m. Eastern time, 4 o'clock Pacific. So everyone head over to Scare Network and get a little subscription. It's only $4.99 a month. Cancel anytime you want to, so that's nothing. So just encourage everybody to go and check it out and check out all the stuff that we have on there as well. And thank you guys for coming on. Any final thoughts before we jump off?
Any final thoughts, boys?
No, for me, it's the same thing. Like when I end our podcast, I like to tell everybody that no matter what you see with paranormal, go find your own truth. Don't let anybody try to lead you into what to believe. Figure it out for yourself. It sounds raw, but that I can show you everything, every evidence. I can sell you everything you want, but I can't tell you what to believe in. Just if it interests you guys, like just watch, just listen and pay attention because it's out there. It's undeniable. But
I would say sorry, go Xander, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, Billy, I really appreciate you, dude, and I really appreciate you connecting us with this. It means a great deal to me, and I know to both those guys too. So
it's
really
huge,
appreciate this
for both of us.
Yeah, well, I'm a small network. I'm trying to grow every day, and
small network, but not to us.
Yeah.
I love Scare Network, dude. Are you freaking kidding me?
Yeah,
great. I got a big screen TV. I can watch a bunch of scary stuff. It's awesome,
man. Yeah, I started this January will be 4 years, so I'm still young, man. So very, very young, and I made huge strides just in the 4 years. So I love look, I'm a nobody, but I love giving others an opportunity to kind of put their work out there for, on a higher scale than YouTube. Not that we're I wish I had YouTube's money. God, anyway, you know what I'm saying? YouTube
Yeah, I
is
know what you're
so
saying. Oh, yeah.
anybody and
Oh, yeah.
everybody,
Yeah.
YouTube and TikTok. So I just wanted to kind of differentiate, just kind of build something that and it's not just paranormal. We got a bunch of horror movies, got a bunch of true crime stuff. I want to do more monster stuff like UFO, Bigfoot, Loch Ness, cryptids, done a little bit here and there. So
well, we got Wendigos in my backyard, so you can come over and hang out in
I
the
know,
woods
man.
over
I'm
here.
on
Billy, I got stories behind that too for another time regards to Xander and John know about that. Anyways,
well, I mean, maybe if we can hook it up and make it work, if you guys have like not 4 or 5, that would take 2 weeks. But if I could go out there and spend, a week or so, maybe we could hit up 3 or 4 different things and try to accomplish a bunch. And when I do stuff, I've been doing it for so long that everything I do, I try to do it on a professional level. And with a very minimal crew, because I know how to do everything at this point. So, and I have the equipment and gear to be able to do that. So I know what it takes to produce, obviously. And I mean, again, going back to y'all's things, kudos for shooting like that in the rain. If that would have been me with my gear and stuff, I said another night. I'm not doing this.
We were almost there, but we all we were getting so much evidence. We looked at each other because we were packing up. Like we were mad. We were throwing things. I was unzipping my waterproof bag that cost way too much, and my equipment is soaked through in there. And I'm trying to find anything dry. We're getting voices, and we're like, all right. I'm like, let's pack this up, guys. And it's like, okay, we gotta stay. Chris, go in the woods. Go, Chris.
I do it, man.
Go tackle that tombstone.
Yep.
No, I'm that idiot. We'll go out there and just do it. I have no self-esteem. So.
Yeah. So let's definitely stay in touch. You guys kind of
absolutely.
If you will, try to push the platform, try to push people.
We're gonna
always.
I need more eyes on it, and I appreciate you guys reaching out and. Any future projects and stuff. Let's talk more. And maybe we can jump on another call. And if you guys do podcasts and stuff, bring me on. I love to talk about.
Absolutely.
There you go, Chris. Bring it on.
I got a bunch of stories and stuff too. So so I appreciate it. So this Friday night, everybody tune in to Scare Network, 7:00. We got a little teaser. It's already on there. If you guys on there, got the trailer up on Scare Network already, so you guys can go and take a look at that. And we'll push it out and hope everybody kind of gravitates and watches it. So thank you guys. I appreciate it.
Amen.
Thank you, buddy.
Yeah, thank you very much for having us.
Appreciate it. It's
all right. You guys have a good night. So let me end this stream, but you guys can stay. Hold on.